Good evening, my name is Mark, aka ProcuroBot. Thank you for tuning in what is to be the first of my isolation diaries. Feels a little bit Robinson Crusoe-esque already, even though it's only day one. Hopefully, it won't be too long. My absolute sympathy to anyone who is going through coronavirus right now. My thoughts and prayers are with you all. So yeah, here we are. We're in isolation. I thought that in my spare time I could speak a little bit about my role with Hayes Recruitment. I am the procurement specialist for Kent. I have been for a little over 6 months now. I absolutely love the role, to be perfectly honest. It really is something that resonates strongly with me. A lot of procurement people are people that when they take the challenge on, they absolutely make it their own. And that is something that I really strongly resonate with. That is something that is so unique to procurement people. It's awesome. It's one underlying trait of the people that I meet with that I strongly resonate with. And I wanted to bring a little bit more about procurement to the world. Uh, Essentially, procurement is buying anything that you have in your house, heck, stuff that is your house, has been bought and sold at some point. Procurement people are the people that buy those materials. Uh, Sometimes it's indirect stuff as well, like pens for businesses, or I don't know, it could literally be anything. Uh, do forgive me if I go off script as well, because I don't technically have one. I literally just have points to go on with this. Am ad-libbing, but I think that is the best way to be. I'm not going to be. I'm not going to try and be starchy with these videos. I'm going to try and be as entertaining as possible. Apparently, I can be funny. So I'm told. Personally, I don't see it, but then you live it every day, I guess. Um, so yeah, basically, point of these videos, get a little bit more brand exposure for my desk, uh, be a little bit of entertainment in these times when I'm sure everyone is bored out of their socks. Because at the moment there isn't a lot to do, and you know what? We need a bit of entertainment, bit of laughter in these kind of times. So yeah, basically, point of the video today: what is procurement? What is my role? And then I'm going to get on to public sector procurement because today I believe at this moment in time that is one of the most important procurement roles that we have currently, given the scale of everything that's going on. So yeah, sit back, relax, and hopefully I'll see you soon. Apologise in advance, by the way. There seems to be a weird amount of feedback from this camera. The tablet is not very old, so I'm really surprised at that, but never mind. Here we go. Essentially, procurement is buying. You can get direct buyers that will deal with anything from raw materials to component parts for finished products. Essentially, direct buyers are the most prominent part of the supply chain. They are the spine of supply chain, if you like, because what they do uh, essentially will be to bring in the raw materials that then make the things in the factory that then potentially can make something else, which then ends up in your house, your computer, tablet, whatever. They do that. Then you get indirect buyers, which will be buying items for the companies themselves. That is anything from stationery to the computers you're working on, or anything like that, really. That function can be fulfilled just in general by management, and it's something that is often fulfilled by management. But there are some companies that are large enough that they need that extra helping hand. My role in all of this is to recruit for those people. On average, I meet 5 to 10 people a week, that is, candidates or clients, and I will sit down with them and go through their career history, see that they are the right culture fit, the right well, competency fit as well for the roles that I put them into, and then I put them into work. I'm really oversimplifying it though, because what we do at Hayes is a lot deeper than that. We like to get a bit more of a connection between people and company rather than just, oh, here's a CV, here's a company, Bob's your uncle. So yeah, I hate to sound pompous, but we really try and make it more of an art form. And touch wood, most of the time we do get that right. Um, so yeah, that is essentially my role. I will meet with the candidates usually in our office. It's a sit-down process, 20-minute to an hour's meeting, get a bit more of a feel for them as people, and try and understand their motivations. I'm really lucky, as I said in the intro, that I and procurement people tend to get on. There seems to be a very, very common theme with procurement people, and that is that the projects they take on, whether that be direct, indirect, private or public sector, they treat their projects like their babies. And that is something that strongly resonates with me. The procurement desk at Hayes is something that I've been really, really working on, hence why I've got this channel. And it's really something that I'm trying to build up and make into make into something great. So to sit there and speak with these people that have the same goal as me, essentially, that is to build something, really build a challenge, really, they take on a challenge rather, and they make it into something better. As I said, it really, really resonates with me. I love that about it because I can really understand where they're coming from. And the the one underlying thing is the fruit of their labours, which they like to sit back and enjoy. Which again, I agree with. I met someone a few weeks ago who they saved their company 47% on raw materials coming into the business, and you don't get a feel for that number unless you actually hear the actual sum that they saved just on that one contract, no less. That was £750,000, which is awesome. And they get a real sense of pride and satisfaction from knowing that they've negotiated that. They've sometimes sourced the suppliers themselves, and then they can see the result of their work going into these finished products, or services in some cases. And it's really, really cool to see, to be perfectly honest. Um, but yeah, I won't be talking about manufacturing buying today or engineering buying. I will leave that for another time. Um, my main topic today is public sector procurement, just because obviously with current circumstances as they are, I wanted to speak a bit about it because um, procurement people are the unsung heroes of their organisation, and public sector people at this moment in time are more in need than ever. Public sector procurement people are having to change the way they work, especially in the NHS, where they've switched from background contract and background tendering to frontline essentials. And I can only say uh, how appreciative I am of them, and I mean that of the NHS and, well, all our public services in general at this point in time, because we are going through very, very strange times, and they're having to react exceedingly quickly to some very, very harsh circumstances. And it's amazing how quickly they've adapted to do that. So yeah, in the next section that's coming up, I don't know why I'm pointing in that direction because it will appear there. Never mind. In the next section that's coming up, I'll be talking a bit more about public sector procurement and why at this moment in time it's so important. Stay tuned. So, yes, I want to keep this topic as brief as possible, just because in these videos, unless I'm doing something that's really, really heavy or is, for entertainment purposes, I want to keep these as brief as possible. Public sector procurement, as I said in the last little section, 100%. I have so much respect for these people right now because they're going through some of the toughest times imaginable. And that goes to the procurement services as well because they've had to switch in very, very quick succession from dealing with long term contracts, things that work in our hospitals behind the scenes to coordinating frontline services in a procurement effort that has not been seen in many of our lifetimes. The nearest thing I can equate it to probably is procurement efforts that would have gone on during the war, because the amount of equipment that is needed at this moment in time is just unheard of in the modern era. They There is so much more need for even the basics. And there was an article that the government showed about ventilators and how they're asking more companies to produce ventilators for the NHS. And that is not something that is done just on a whim. Two people don't just sit down and go, hey, let's switch to the ventilators for the NHS. There will be procurement people working behind the scenes to get that done. And there is so much respect for that. I have so much respect for that because they went into work one day thinking, "Oh, I'm going to be dealing with, I don't know, this catering contract, or I don't know, this contract for this ward coming up, new cancer drug, whatever coming out. We need to procure some of that." To, oh my goodness, frontline services need 25,000 ventilators. Frontline services need 200,000 pairs of rubber gloves and masks within the next week. Where do we get it from? And procurement people, again, not just loving a challenge, they are absolutely the best problem solvers I have ever met. I consider myself, generally speaking, quite good at problem solving. I tend, because I'm quite positive, to see my way around a problem rather than just it present itself. But these people will undo locks that are just incredible barriers to everyone else. They think around the problems so heavily, and it is absolutely amazing to see. Um, I can only think there was one. Again, drawing back on my candidates that I've seen recently, there's one candidate who, in his effort to get, I think it was polyethylene to Ukraine, went to China to negotiate contracts with um, polyethylene suppliers from Saudi Arabia because they delivered it straight to China from Saudi Arabia. And the process, the logic behind that, and the effort that he went to get that problem solved was unreal. Like it would have taken months of negotiation, face to face meetings in three different countries, let alone one, and yet he saw his way around that problem, and that amazes me. Genuinely amazes me. And public sector procurement people are going through that right now. I'm going to do a quick shout out now to the East Kent Hospitals NHS Trust because I spoke with one of their category managers the other week, and the amount of effort they're going through is astounding. Like I can't believe it. He talked me through it, and it's, as I said, he went from doing contracts to this frontline coordination overnight, and the incredible effort that must have been to switch from that from 0 to 100 in seconds. It's amazing. So yeah, public sector procurement is, at this moment in time, it makes up about 30% of uh, procurement in Britain. Uh, Before this crisis, it was heavily prevalent in a lot of people's thought processes around Brexit, and it probably will continue to be after this coronavirus is done with. But public sector procurement at the moment is 100% one of the most important things in the country currently, because it's going to get all of those things that help save people. Um, that isn't to downplay, obviously, the incredible effort of the NHS doctors and nurses and the frontline staff, because at the end of the day, what they're doing is no less than superhuman, but procurement plays a huge part in what they do, and without the tools to do it, then they wouldn't be able to. So yeah, thank you for listening to my slightly more than I intendedly serious chat on public sector procurement. I promise to try and make the upcoming videos a little bit more light-hearted, but when it comes to public sector procurement, it is a serious topic right now. It's a really, really big issue right now. So yeah, thank you for listening. The plan coming up for the next few weeks, I may be doing a journeyman football manager save if I can get my software on my computer to work. Hopefully, my next few topics will be a little bit more light-hearted. I'm hoping to get a few of my clients to just give a few minutes of their time on here, um, and yeah, get their thoughts on everything that's going on currently, whilst they're a rather captive audience. So yeah, thank you for listening. Stay safe. I will speak with you soon. Have a great evening. Cheers.